The Unsweetened Life, a doctor's experiment to reclaim your focus, energy, and time, and how you can do it too. Ditch sugar without the misery and unlock your most productive self. What if the daily exhaustion, the afternoon brain fog, and the constant struggle for focus isn't your fault? What if it isn't a lack of sleep, a need for more coffee, or a personal failing? What if it's the result of a silent, perfectly executed heist happening inside your own body and brain every single day? For years, Dr. Erikson, doctor, productivity expert, and entrepreneur, thought he had cracked the code to peak performance. He had the apps, the systems, and the strategies. Yet he was still a hostage to the mysterious 3 p.m. slump and the mental fatigue he accepted as normal. Then the unthinkable happened. On a whim, he began a simple 30-day experiment, a personal N=1 study designed to be a minor productivity tweak. He had no idea he was about to pull on a thread that would unravel everything he thought he knew about the hidden forces that dictate our daily lives. What he discovered was a conspiracy of sorts, one that operates not in the shadows, but right in our own kitchens. He found a master culprit, a seemingly innocent character that was quietly hijacking his mood, sabotaging his focus, and stealing his most valuable asset, his time. The Unsweetened Life is not a diet book. It's the thrilling account of that accidental discovery and the powerful system it unlocked. Erikson takes you deep behind enemy lines, exposing the shocking science of how this sneaky thief operates and the hilarious lies we've all been telling ourselves for years. He doesn't just present the problem, he gives you the playbook for the counter-heist. Inside, you won't find miserable restrictions. You'll find a detective's guide to spotting hidden clues on food labels, a social survival kit for navigating parties and family dinners with ease, and a blueprint for engineering your environment so that success becomes inevitable. Most intriguing of all are the unexpected side effects he uncovers, the secret rewards that have nothing to do with weight, but everything to do with a supercharged brain, deeper sleep, and a profound sense of calm. This is the story of how one man stumbled upon the ultimate life hack. The question is, are you brave enough to run your own experiment? The truth about your true potential is waiting to be unlocked.
Introduction: The accidental experiment that changed my life. All right, let's start with a confession. I'm gonna let you in on a secret. I never intended to quit sugar. As a doctor, I'd spent years studying the human body. I could recite the metabolic pathways of glucose in my sleep. I knew, intellectually, that a diet high in sugar wasn't exactly a recipe for peak performance. I'd seen the textbooks, I'd read the papers, and I'd advised patients on the importance of a balanced diet. But as a human, I loved my desserts. A cheeky slice of cake with my afternoon coffee? Yes, please. A tub of Ben & Jerry's while editing a late-night video? Absolutely. My brain rationalized it as a well-deserved treat, a little dopamine hit to power through the work. It was just one of those small pleasures, and I wasn't about to live a life of miserable restriction. So this book isn't the result of some iron-willed discipline or a dramatic health scare. Honestly, it's the result of an accidental experiment. A few years ago, I was deep down a productivity rabbit hole, a familiar place for me, as you might know. I was looking for the next hack, the next small tweak that could give me an edge, a bit more focus for my studies, a bit more energy for my YouTube channel, a bit more clarity for my writing. I stumbled upon the idea of a 30-day no-sugar challenge. My first thought was, that sounds dreadful. But the productivity nerd side of my brain was intrigued. The articles I read weren't just about weight loss. They promised laser-like focus, stable energy levels throughout the day, and an end to the dreaded 3 p.m. slump. It sounded too good to be true, but the potential upside was massive. So I decided to treat it like any other experiment. I would be my own guinea pig. N equals 1. I'd give it 30 days. I'd track my energy levels, my focus, my mood, and my productivity. If it worked, great. If it didn't, I could go back to my beloved chocolate fudge brownie ice cream with no harm done, armed with a bit more data. What happened over the next 30 days genuinely shocked me. The first few days were interesting. We'll get into the gritty details later, don't worry. But then something shifted. The brain fog I hadn't even fully realized was there began to lift. The afternoon energy crashes that I thought were a non-negotiable part of a busy day, they just stopped happening. My focus became sharper, and the time I spent working was deeper and more effective. But here's the truly profound part, the thing I never expected. I became happier. My mood felt more stable, less reactive. The small daily stresses didn't seem to hit as hard. I felt a sense of calm and control I hadn't realized I was missing. It turned out this wasn't just a productivity hack. It was a fundamental upgrade to my entire operating system. I'm not here to preach a doctrine of miserable restriction or to make you feel guilty about your love of donuts. This book is the opposite of that. It's the story of a journey that led to more energy, sharper focus, and surprisingly, a more joyful and less stressful life, all by making one simple change. I stumbled upon the ultimate productivity tool, and it wasn't a new app, a fancy notebook, or a complicated system. It was hiding in plain sight in my kitchen pantry all along. This is the story of that discovery, the science behind why it works, and the practical, non-miserable system you can use to upgrade your own life starting today. Ready to run your own experiment? Let's get started.
Chapter 1. The Sneaky Thief in Your Kitchen and Your Brain. Subtitle: How Sugar is Quietly Hijacking Your Energy, Mood, and Focus. All right, let's set a scene. It's 3 p.m. on a Tuesday. You had a reasonably productive morning. You ticked off a few things from your to-do list, answered some emails, and even had a healthy-ish lunch. You sit back down at your desk, ready to tackle that big, important project, the one that requires real brain power. And then it hits you. It's not a sudden wave of exhaustion, more like a thick, soupy fog rolling into your brain. Your eyelids feel heavy. The words on the screen start to blur. The idea of doing any form of deep, focused work feels about as achievable as climbing Everest in your pajamas. Your brain, which once was a nimble sports car, now feels like an old tractor stuck in the mud. You know the feeling. We all do. We call it the afternoon slump. We blame it on a poor night's sleep or a heavy lunch. We try to fight it with another cup of coffee, which gives us a jittery, anxious lift for about 45 minutes before dropping us even further than before. For years, I just accepted this as a normal, unavoidable part of the human experience, a sort of human tax on productivity. But what if I told you that the 3 p.m. slump isn't normal? What if it's not your fault? What if I told you that your energy, focus, and even your mood are being actively stolen from you every single day by a sneaky, incredibly well-disguised thief? Welcome to the heist movie. In this movie, you are the bank, and your vaults are filled with precious assets. Your focus, your energy, your time, and your potential. And the villain, the master thief, is an unassuming character you invite into your home every single day. It's not some shadowy figure in a trench coat. It's sugar. Now, hold on. I know what you're thinking. Oh, here we go. The doctor is going to tell me sugar is bad. We all know it's not great for our teeth or our waistlines, but that's like saying a master art thief is bad because he might scuff the floors. It's missing the entire point. The real damage, the grand larceny, isn't happening to your body. It's happening in your brain. To understand how this thief operates, we need to look at the heist in 3 parts. The heist, Act 1, the distraction. When you eat something sugary, a chocolate bar, a fizzy drink, or even healthy things like a fruit smoothie or a bowl of cereal, the sugar, glucose, floods into your bloodstream.
For your brain, which runs on glucose, this is like a sudden, unexpected lottery win. It responds by releasing a hit of dopamine, the feel-good neurotransmitter. It's a moment of pure pleasure, a neurological reward. This feels great. Let's do it again. This is the thief's first move, the distraction. While you're enjoying that warm, fuzzy feeling, the heist is already well underway. You feel good, but you're being set up for a fall. The heist Act 2, the smash and grab. Your body sees this massive, sudden influx of sugar in your blood and hits the panic button. Your blood sugar levels are only supposed to operate in a very narrow, stable range. This huge spike is a system-wide emergency. In response, your pancreas deploys the security team, a hormone called insulin. Insulin's job is to get that sugar out of your blood and into your cells as quickly as possible. And it is ruthlessly efficient at its job. It's like an overzealous bouncer clearing out a nightclub at closing time, grabbing everyone and shoving them out the door. The problem is insulin often overcorrects. It does its job too well. In its frantic rush to clear the sugar from your blood, it shoves so much away for storage, mostly as fat, by the way, that it leaves your blood sugar levels lower than they were before you had the treat. This is the crash. Suddenly, your brain, which was just celebrating a lottery win, is broke. Its primary fuel source has been snatched away. The result? That thick, soupy brain fog. Irritability, the inability to focus, the sudden, desperate need for a nap. The thief didn't just steal the sugar, they made off with your ability to think clearly. The heist Act 3, the getaway car. Now your brain is in full-on crisis mode. It's starved of energy, and it remembers that one thing that provided a quick fix just a little while ago. It sends out a desperate, primal signal that overrides all your rational long-term goals. Get more sugar now. This is the craving. It's not a lack of willpower. It's a biological imperative triggered by the crash that the sugar itself created. The thief has high-wired your brain's survival system to ensure you'll call them back for another job. So you reach for another biscuit, another sugary coffee, another pick-me-up. The cycle begins again. You spend your entire day on a productivity roller coaster, a series of short, unsatisfying highs followed by long, drawn-out lows. Think about it. How much of your day is dictated by this cycle? That mid-morning snack you need to get you to lunch, that afternoon coffee and cake, that evening craving for dessert. You think you're making choices, but you're really just responding to the biochemical chaos the last sugary thing created. The sneaky thief isn't just stealing your energy for an hour, it's hijacking your entire day every day. It's robbing you of hours of deep work, costing you your stable, positive mood, and clouding the sharp, clear focus that you're capable of. Now that we've unmasked the culprit and we understand the mechanics of the heist, the next logical question is, if it's so bad for us, why can't we stop? Why, even when we know better, do we keep letting this thief in through the front door? That, my friends, is because we are masters of self-deception. We tell ourselves brilliant, hilarious, and utterly convincing lies. And in the next chapter, we're going to expose them, have a good laugh, and learn how to finally outsmart our own brains.
Chapter 2. I'm not addicted, and other hilarious lies we tell ourselves. Why your willpower isn't the problem, and how to outsmart your own brain. All right, let's be honest with each other for a minute. The idea of being addicted to sugar feels a bit dramatic, doesn't it? It's a word we associate with serious, life-altering problems. Nobody is staging an intervention for their friend's Haribo habit. You don't hear tragic stories on the news about someone who hit rock bottom and spent their life savings on Krispy Kreme. The whole thing feels a little silly, and yet the cravings are real. I'll share a slightly embarrassing story. During my most intense years at medical school, I had a system. Tucked away at the back of my desk drawer, beneath a pile of old lecture notes, was my emergency revision stash. It consisted of a large bar of dairy milk and a bag of Percy Pigs.
This wasn't for casual snacking. This was a strategic resource, deployed only in moments of extreme intellectual fatigue. My brain had a whole narrative built around it, a perfectly crafted lie. It went something like this. Okay, Allie, you've been studying cardiology for 6 straight hours. Your brain is clearly out of glucose. You are being a responsible student by replenishing your energy stores so you can continue this vital work. This isn't a treat. It's a biological necessity. It felt incredibly logical at 1 a.m. with a pharmacology exam looming. I wasn't just eating chocolate. I was optimizing my cognitive function. Looking back, it's hilarious. The lengths my very smart, very educated brain would go to in order to justify a sugar hit were incredible. And I know I'm not alone. We are all masters of self-deception when it comes to our cravings. We tell ourselves a whole host of well-meaning lies. The "I deserve it" lie. I had a really tough day at work, so I deserve this pint of ice cream. The "it's just a little bit" lie. It's just one biscuit. What harm can one biscuit do? Repeated 5 times. The social obligation lie. Well, Susan made this cake for her birthday. It would be rude not to have a slice. The "I'll start tomorrow" lie. The most powerful lie they all are. This is the last one. My new healthy life begins tomorrow morning. Sound familiar? We laugh, but these little narratives are the software that runs our bad habits. We think the problem is a lack of willpower. We beat ourselves up thinking, if only I were more disciplined, I could resist. But here's the secret, and it's the most important lesson in this entire book. Your willpower isn't the problem. You're not weak. You're not disciplined. You're a human being with a perfectly normal brain that's been expertly hijacked. Let's get serious for a moment and look at what's actually going on under the hood. The dopamine puppy in your brain. Imagine your brain has a very simple, very enthusiastic puppy living inside it. Let's call him Dave. Dave, the dopamine puppy, doesn't care about your long-term goals, your productivity targets, or your desire to look good on the beach. Dave wants one thing and one thing only: to feel good right now. When you eat sugar, your brain releases a surge of dopamine. In our analogy, you've just given Dave a delicious treat. He wags his tail, he feels amazing, and he immediately learns, sugar equals treat, do that again. The next time you're feeling a little stressed or bored or tired, Dave starts barking. He remembers the treat. He knows what will make him feel better. That barking is what we call a craving. It's a powerful primal signal from a part of your brain that evolved for immediate survival, not for writing a dissertation or coding an app. You can't reason with Dave. You can't tell him, "Dave, old boy, this isn't conducive to our Q3 goals." Dave doesn't speak logic. He speaks feel good now. The cue, routine, reward trap. This process is so powerful because it creates a neurological habit loop, a concept brilliantly explained by Charles Duhigg in his book, The Power of Habit. It has 3 parts. The cue. This is the trigger. It's usually a feeling, stress, boredom, tiredness, or a time of day, that 3 p.m. slump we talked about. The routine. This is the action you take. In this case, eating something sugary. The reward. This is the dopamine hit. Dave the puppy gets his treat, the loop is reinforced, and it becomes more and more automatic the next time the cue appears. Every time you complete this loop, the connection in your brain gets stronger. You are literally programming yourself to seek sugar whenever you feel a certain way. Trying to use willpower to fight this is like trying to stop a river with your bare hands. You might hold it back for a little while, but eventually, the sheer force of the current will overwhelm you. It's a bug, not a feature. Here's the good news. This isn't a moral failing. It's a design flaw. Our brains are running on ancient software that was designed for a world where calories were scarce, and finding a source of quick energy, like a ripe fruit, was a massive evolutionary win. your brain is still programmed to think that sugar is a rare and valuable resource, essential for survival. In the modern world, where sugar is in everything, this old software has become a bug. Your brain's ancient survival mechanism is now actively working against your modern goals for health and productivity. So let's reframe this entire situation. You are not addicted. You are simply running a buggy piece of software that creates powerful automatic habit loops. This is incredibly liberating. Why? Because you can't fix a moral failing with a system, but you can absolutely fix a buggy piece of software. You can debug the system. Once you understand the loop, the cue, the routine, the reward, you can start to consciously change it. You can start to game the system. So let's let go of the guilt. Let's stop beating ourselves up for our Percy Pig stashes and our emergency chocolate bars. We're not bad people. We're just people with badly programmed puppies in our brains. In the next chapter, we're going to stop fighting the puppy and instead learn how to gently retrain him. We're going to start the gentle uncoupling from sugar, armed not with willpower, but with something far more powerful: knowledge.
Chapter 3: The Gentle Uncoupling, a not-so-scary guide to your first 2 weeks. Subtitle: How to Break Up with Sugar Without All the Drama. All right, so we've unmasked the thief and we've had an honest laugh about the ridiculous lies we tell ourselves. Now comes the part that might feel a little daunting: the actual breakup. When we think about quitting something, our minds often jump to a dramatic, painful, messy breakup. We picture ourselves white-knuckling it through intense cravings, being miserable and grumpy to everyone around us, and staring longingly at the dessert menu like a jilted lover. Let's just agree to skip all of that. We're not aiming for a dramatic breakup. We're aiming for a conscious, gentle uncoupling. This isn't about deprivation and misery. It's about a calm, intentional, and surprisingly empowering transition. It's an experiment, remember? For the next 14 days, we're going to press pause on our relationship with sugar. We're going to create a little space to see what life feels like without it. No crazy detoxes, no expensive supplements, no weird juice cleanses. Just a simple, clean break based on a few clear rules. Think of me as your friendly guide for this part. I've walked this path, I know where the slightly bumpy bits are, and I'm here to help you navigate them. You've got this. The rules of engagement. Simplicity is key. To make this experiment effective, we need clear parameters. We're not going to get bogged down in complex nutritional science. We're going to keep it incredibly simple. For the next 14 days, we have 2 primary rules. Rule number 1, eliminate the obvious suspects. This is the no-brainer list. We are consciously uncoupling from sugary drinks, fizzy drinks, fruit juices, cordials, sweetened coffees and teas. Water is your new best friend. Sweets and chocolate. All the usual culprits. Cakes, biscuits, pastries, and desserts. If it comes from the bakery section or the dessert menu, it's on pause. Sugary breakfast cereals. Most cereals are just dessert and a box. We're swiping left on those for now. Rule number 2, focus on PFF, protein, fat, and fiber. This is the most important part. We're not just taking things away, we're actively adding good things in. Every time you eat, your primary goal is to include sources of protein, fat, and fiber. Why? Because these 3 things are the holy trinity of satiety and stable blood sugar. They digest slowly, keeping you full and satisfied, which is your secret weapon against cravings. Protein, meat, fish, eggs, tofu, lentils, beans. Healthy fats, avocado, nuts, seeds, olive oil. Fiber, all the vegetables you can eat, especially leafy greens, and some fruit. We'll get to that. That's it. Don't overthink it. Don't count calories. Just remove the obvious sugars and build your meals around protein, fat, and fiber. What to expect when you're uncoupling. An honest timeline. I'm not going to lie to you. The first few days can be a little weird. Your body and brain are recalibrating. Think of it like a system update. The installation process can make things run a bit slow for a short while before the amazing new features kick in. Days 1 to 3, the "where's my treat" phase. The feeling? You might feel a bit grumpy, a little foggy, and possibly have a mild headache. This is your body adjusting to running on a different fuel source. Dave the dopamine puppy will be barking loudly, wondering where his treats have gone. The strategy? Hydrate. Drink way more water than you think you need. A headache is often a sign of dehydration. Focus on eating satisfying PFF meals. Don't let yourself get hungry. Go to bed a little earlier. Just be kind to yourself and write it out. Days 4 to 7. The fog begins to lift. The feeling? Something cool starts to happen around day 4 or 5. You'll wake up and just feel, well, a bit clearer. The headaches will likely be gone. The cravings will start to feel less like a screaming emergency and more like a quiet suggestion that's easier to ignore. The strategy? Start noticing the small wins. Did you get through the 3 p.m. slump without wanting a nap? Did you wake up feeling more refreshed? Acknowledge these moments. You're proving to yourself that you can do this. Week 2, the "oh, I get it now" phase. The feeling? This is where the magic happens. Your energy levels will feel noticeably more stable throughout the day. Your focus will be sharper. Many people notice their skin looks clearer and they sleep more deeply. You'll also notice that your desire for intensely sweet things has started to fade. The strategy? Double down on what's working. Experiment with new PFF recipes. Enjoy the feeling of stable energy and use it to do some deep, focused work. You're no longer just surviving, you're starting to thrive. Your sugar-free starter kit. To make this easy, let's engineer your environment for success. Here are some essential swaps and items to have on hand. The hydration station. Sparkling water, the bubbles can feel like a treat and are a fantastic replacement for fizzy drinks. Add a squeeze of lemon or lime. Herbal teas. Peppermint, chamomile, or berry teas can satisfy the psychological need for a comforting, flavorful drink. The emergency snack pack. Cravings often hit when you're unprepared and hungry. Have these within arm's reach. A handful of nuts, almonds, walnuts, a hard-boiled egg, olives, a small pot of full-fat Greek yogurt with a few berries. The flavor boosters. When sugar is gone, you rediscover other flavors. Cinnamon, amazing in coffee or on yogurt. It can give a perceived sense of sweetness. Good quality sea salt, black pepper, herbs, and spices. Learn to love them. This journey is a series of small, smart decisions, not one giant leap of willpower. In these first 2 weeks, your only job is to follow the rules, be prepared, and be patient with yourself. We're not swearing off sugar forever. We are simply running a 2-week experiment to gather data. The data you collect, in the form of more energy, better focus, and a stable mood, will be all the motivation you need to continue.
Chapter 4. Becoming a Sugar Detective. How to Spot the Hidden Culprits. A fun and easy guide to reading food labels without a degree in chemistry. All right, imagine this. You're in the supermarket, trying to be healthy. You bypass the biscuit aisle, a moment of quiet triumph, and head for the yogurt section. You pick up a pot of low-fat strawberry yogurt. The packaging is covered in pictures of luscious, fresh fruit. It says things like, "good source of calcium" and 0% fat. This, your brain tells you, is a responsible adult choice. You've just been conned. Welcome to the world of hidden sugars, where the food industry is the master illusionist, and our job is to see through the trick. If our journey so far has been about understanding the heist, this chapter is where you graduate from the academy. We're going to turn you into a sugar detective. I'm not going to bore you with a dense chemistry lesson. Instead, I'm going to give you a simple, effective detective's toolkit.
By the end of this chapter, you'll be able to walk into any grocery store, pick up any product, and spot the culprit in under 10 seconds. You'll feel less like an overwhelmed consumer and more like Sherlock Holmes in the snack aisle. Case file number 1. The motive. Why is it hiding everywhere? First, a good detective needs to understand the criminal's motive. Why is sugar hiding in your bread, your pasta sauce, your salad dressing, and even your rotisserie chicken? It's not always just for sweetness. Sugar is a multi-talented criminal. Food manufacturers use it to improve mouthfeel, a fancy term for texture. It makes things smoother and thicker. Add browning and flavor. It helps create that lovely golden brown color on baked goods and balances out salty or acidic flavors in sauces. Act as a preservative. It extends the shelf life of products, which is great for the manufacturer's bottom line. And make low-fat taste good. This is the big one. When they take the fat out of the product, they take out most of the flavor. What do they replace it with to make it palatable? You guessed it, a ton of sugar. And of course, the main motive. It makes you want more. As we learned in Chapter 2, it lights up those dopamine pathways, making the product incredibly rewarding and ensuring you come back for another hit. The Detective's Toolkit, your 3-step investigation process. When you pick up a packaged food item, you are now at a crime scene. Your job is to ignore the flashy distractions and go straight for the evidence. Step 1. Interrogate the ingredients list. This is where the culprits confess. The first rule of the ingredients list is that everything is listed in order of quantity, from most to least. The first 3 rule. If sugar, in any of its forms, appears in the first 3, put the item down. It means that sugar is one of the main components of that product, not just a minor addition. Spotting the aliases. Sugar is a master of disguise. It rarely just calls itself sugar. Here are its main gangs. The OS gang. This is the easiest one to spot. If a word ends in OS, it's a sugar. Sucrose, table sugar, glucose, fructose, dextrose, maltose. They're all part of the same crew. The syrup syndicate. These guys sound a bit more rustic, but they're just as guilty. High fructose corn syrup, the arch villain. Agave syrup, rice syrup, maple syrup, golden syrup. The natural imposters. This is the sneakiest group. Honey, molasses, fruit juice concentrate, evaporated cane sugar. Your brain might see honey or fruit juice and think healthy, but to your bloodstream and your pancreas, it's all just a massive sugar dump. A common trick is to use several different types of sugar in small amounts. That way, none of them end up as the first ingredient. Don't be fooled. If you see 3 or 4 different aliases on the list, you found a career criminal. Step 2. Examine the nutritional information box. This is where you find the hard data. Ignore the calories, the fat, the salt for now. We're looking for one specific line of evidence. Carbohydrates, of which sugars. This number tells you exactly how much sugar is in the product per 100 grams and/or per serving. But what does 22 grams of sugar actually mean? It's an abstract number. To make it real, we need to convert it into something visual. Here is your golden rule, your detective's magnifying glass. 4 grams of sugar equals 1 teaspoon. Let's go back to that healthy, low-fat strawberry yogurt. A typical 150-gram pot can easily have 22 grams of sugar. Let's do the math. 22 divided by 4 equals 5.5 teaspoons of sugar. Close your eyes and picture 5.5 teaspoons of white sugar. Would you ever scoop that much into a small bowl of plain yogurt? Of course not. But that's exactly what you're eating. Suddenly, It doesn't seem so healthy, does it? Let's play a game. Guess the sugar content. Ready to test your new skills? Let's look at some common culprits. Exhibit A, a 500-gram jar of standard pasta sauce. It's just tomatoes and herbs, right? The reveal. A typical jar contains around 30 grams of sugar. That's 7.5 teaspoons. You're essentially pouring nearly 2 teaspoons of sugar over every person's savory dinner. Exhibit B, one healthy cereal bar, chewy granola bar. It's full of oats and fruit, the perfect on-the-go breakfast. The reveal. Many of these bars contain 12 to 15 grams of sugar. That's roughly 3 to 4 teaspoons. It's a chocolate bar masquerading as health food. Exhibit C, 2 tablespoons of barbecue sauce, a simple condiment for your chicken or chips. The reveal. This small serving can pack in 16 grams of sugar. That's 4 teaspoons. You just dipped your food into a sugar sauce. Are you shocked? I certainly was. It's everywhere. Graduation day. You are now in control. The point of this isn't to make you paranoid or to turn your weekly shop into a 3-hour forensic investigation. The point is to give you awareness. You don't have to do this with everything every time. Just start by getting curious. The next time you go shopping, pick up 5 of your regular purchases. Your bread, your sauce, your cereal, your favorite dressing, and just take 30 seconds to be a detective. Read the evidence. Do the teaspoon conversion. The knowledge itself is a superpower. It moves you from being a passive consumer, influenced by clever marketing, to an active, informed decision maker. You are now in control. You can see the matrix. This skill doesn't mean you can never have barbecue sauce again. It just means that when you do, you're making a conscious choice. You're aware of the trade-off, and that awareness is the foundation of a truly healthy and sustainable relationship with food. Welcome to the Force, Detective.
Chapter 5, The Social Survival Guide. How to Eat Out, Party, and Not Be That Person. Subtitle, Navigating Birthdays, Dinners, and Holidays with Grace, and without cake. All right, let's talk about the single biggest hurdle for most people on this journey. It's not the cravings. It's not reading food labels. It's your lovely, well-meaning grandmother and her famous apple pie. This is where the rubber meets the road. You can have a perfectly engineered kitchen and a will of steel, but the moment you step out of your controlled environment and into the wild, unpredictable world of social gatherings, things get complicated. We all have a deep-seated fear of being that person. You know the one. The person who makes a fuss. The picky eater. The one who makes everyone else feel awkward about their own choices. The fear isn't just about turning down a piece of cake. It's about being perceived as difficult, judgmental, or just plain weird. I remember the first time I went to a friend's birthday dinner after starting my experiment. The moment of reckoning arrived on a little porcelain plate, a beautiful, gooey, chocolate lava cake. Everyone on the table oohed and awed, and all eyes turned to me. I fumbled my way through a clumsy, overly detailed explanation about blood sugar and insulin, and I could literally feel the fun being sucked out of the air. I had successfully become that guy. I learned a valuable lesson that night. Succeeding socially without sugar isn't about willpower. It's about having a system. It's about designing a playbook of strategies and scripts that allow you to navigate any situation with grace so you can focus on what actually matters, connecting with the people you're with. This chapter is your playbook. Let's make being sugar-free in a sugar-filled world easy and maybe even a little bit fun. Part 1. The pre-game strategy. Winning before you arrive. The secret to navigating a social event effortlessly is to do most of the work before you even leave the house. A little bit of planning completely removes the need for in-the-moment willpower. Strategy number 1.
Eat before you go. This sounds counterintuitive, but it's the most effective tactic in the entire playbook. Before you head to a party or a dinner where you're not in control of the food, have a small, satisfying snack packed with protein, fat, and fiber, or PFFs. A handful of nuts, some avocado, or a few slices of chicken will do. The why? You are decoupling the act of socializing from the act of eating. When you arrive, you won't be ravenous. When the sugary appetizers or the dessert trolley comes around, your brain won't be screaming, "Get energy now," because it's already satisfied. This puts you in a position of calm, rational choice, not desperate biological need. Strategy number 2, scan the menu online. If you're going to a restaurant, spend 2 minutes on their website beforehand. It's a simple productivity hack that saves you from decision fatigue and social pressure. The why? Identify 2 or 3 safe main courses before you're sitting at the table with a waiter tapping their pen. You'll know exactly what to order, so you can focus on the conversation instead of anxiously scanning for something that fits your plan. Look for things like grilled fish, steak, or salads, and don't be afraid to ask for simple swaps, like, "Could I get extra vegetables instead of the chips, please?" Strategy number 3. Bring a safe dish. If you're going to a potluck or a casual get-together, offer to bring a dish. This is a brilliant Trojan horse strategy. The why? You're not just ensuring there's something you can eat, you're also being a helpful, contributing guest. No one needs to know your delicious, hearty salad or your amazing roasted vegetable platter is your survival dish. To everyone else, you're just being thoughtful. Part 2. The in-game playbook. What to actually say. Okay, you've arrived. You're not hungry. You're prepared. But someone is still heading your way with a slice of cake on a plate. This is where your scripts come in. The golden rule here is keep it brief, vague, and positive. Then redirect. No one needs or wants a lecture on your new lifestyle. Here is your go-to script, the "No thank you" sandwich. Top slice. The compliment. Start with a warm, genuine compliment. "Wow, that looks absolutely incredible. You are an amazing baker." The filling. The brief no. State your refusal simply and without a detailed excuse. "I'll have to pass for now, thank you." Or, "I'm all good, thanks so much." Bottom slice. The redirect. Immediately change the subject back to them or something else. "But tell me, how did you manage to get the icing so perfect?" Or, "I was just admiring your garden. The roses are looking amazing." This formula works in almost any situation. It validates their effort, states your position politely, and smoothly moves the conversation on, completely bypassing any potential awkwardness. Handling specific scenarios. The persistent pusher, e.g., grandma. They say, "Oh, go on, just a small slice." The best defense here isn't an excuse, it's a statement of physical fact. Smile warmly and say, "Honestly, I'm absolutely stuffed from that delicious dinner. I couldn't possibly fit another thing in, but thank you." It's impossible to argue with, "I'm full." The office birthday. This is a classic. When the cake comes out, simply grab a coffee or a tea. If your hands are full, people are less likely to try and give you something else. Mingle, wish the person a happy birthday, and focus on the celebratory aspect of the 5-minute break, not the cake itself. The drinks round. When someone asks what you want to drink, don't say, "Oh, nothing for me." Say what you do want. "I'd love a sparkling water with lime, thanks." You're still participating in the ritual of the round, just with a different beverage. Part 3. The mindset shift. It was never about the cake. Here's the final and most important piece. We go to parties, dinners, and holidays for human connection. The food is simply the backdrop. When you're no longer riding the sugar roller coaster, a funny thing happens. You actually become a better guest. You're more present, your energy is stable, You can engage in a deep conversation without your brain fogging over or thinking about the next dopamine hit. You can shift your mental framework from a place of restriction, like, I can't have that, to a place of empowerment, which is, I choose not to have that because I prefer how I feel without it. You'll quickly learn that a sugar-free life doesn't mean a fun-free life. It means a life with more stable energy, clearer focus, and a better mood, all of which are assets that allow you to enjoy your social life even more deeply and authentically. You're not giving up the sweetness of life. You're just finding it in the conversation, not the confectionery.
Chapter 6. Engineering Your Environment for Effortless Success. Subtitle: How to Set Up Your Life So That Healthy Choices Are the Easiest Choices. If there's one thing I've learned from years of nerding out about productivity, it's this: willpower is a myth. Okay, that's a bit dramatic. It's not a complete myth, but it is a ridiculously unreliable and finite resource. It's like the battery on an old iPhone. It starts the day at 100%, but by 4 p.m., after 100 small decisions, notifications, and interruptions, it's hovering in the red zone, and you're desperately looking for a charger. Relying on willpower to resist a donut after a stressful day is like relying on that 3% battery to navigate you home in the dark. It's a terrible strategy, and you're probably going to get lost. For years, when I failed at a new habit, I'd blame my lack of discipline. But the real problem wasn't my character, it was my system. Or rather, my lack of one. This is my favorite part, because this is where we stop trying harder and start thinking smarter. We are going to apply the fundamental principles of productivity and habit formation directly to our health. We're going to become the architects of our own lives, designing our environment so that making the right choice isn't just easy, it's effortless. It becomes the default, the path of least resistance. This is how you make lasting change without constantly battling yourself. Welcome to the world of environmental design. The golden rule: master the friction. The core concept is incredibly simple. It's called friction. Think about it. Why do you check your phone so often? Because it's right there, on your desk, unlocked. There is zero friction between the impulse and the action. If you had to get up, walk to another room, unlock a box, and then look at your phone, you'd probably check it a lot less. You've added friction. We can reverse this for good habits. If you lay out your gym clothes the night before, you've removed the friction of having to find them in the morning. You've made the desired action easier. Our goal is simple. Add massive friction to the bad habit, eating sugar. Remove all friction from the good habit, making a healthy choice. By redesigning your environment, you're essentially having a conversation with your future self. You're making it incredibly difficult for your tired 4 p.m. future self to make a bad decision, and incredibly easy for them to make a good one. Let's break down how to do this in the 3 key areas of your life. Zone 1, your kitchen, your command center. This is the most important battleground. If your kitchen is a minefield of sugary temptations, your willpower battery will be dead by breakfast. We need to turn it into a sanctuary of healthy choices. Step 1, the Great Purge, aka the curation. This is a one-time, deeply satisfying project. Go through your cupboards, your fridge, and your freezer. Be ruthless. If its primary ingredient is sugar, it needs to go. We're talking about the half-eaten packets of biscuits, the sugary cereals, the ice cream, the fizzy drinks. Pro tip, don't think of it as wasting food. Think of it as respecting your body. You wouldn't put diesel in a petrol car. This is simply removing the wrong fuel from your environment. If you feel bad throwing it away, donate sealed items to a food bank. Step 2, redesign for default success. Now that you have a clean slate, let's set it up so the lazy choice is the healthy choice. Make healthy visible and accessible. Your eye-level shelves in the fridge and cupboards are prime real estate. This is where your healthy options live. Put a bowl of fruit on the counter. Keep a container of washed and chopped vegetables right at the front of the fridge. Have a jar of nuts right next to your kettle. Make unhealthy invisible or annoying to access.
If you live with others who still eat sugary things, negotiate a single designated treat cupboard or drawer. Ideally one that's high up or low down, somewhere inconvenient. The simple act of having to get a chair to reach the biscuits can be enough friction to make you pause and reconsider. Create a ready-to-go shelf. This is a game changer. Dedicate one shelf in your fridge to pre-prepared healthy snacks. Hard-boiled eggs, small bags of almonds, pots of Greek yogurt. When a craving hits, your brain wants the fastest possible solution. By making the healthy option the grab-and-go option, you win every time. Zone 2, your workspace, your focus zone. The afternoon slump is the moment of maximum vulnerability. Your willpower is low, your brain is tired, and the ghost of your old emergency chocolate stash is calling your name. Let's re-engineer your desk for sustained focus. Rule number 1, the desk is a no snack zone. Your workspace is for deep work. Your kitchen is for eating. By creating this simple rule, you eliminate the habit of mindless snacking while you type. If you want to eat, you have to get up and go to the kitchen, adding a layer of friction and forcing a conscious decision. The hydration station. The single most effective productivity tool I have is a large 2-liter water bottle that lives on my desk. It's always there. Often when we think we're hungry or craving something, we're actually just thirsty. The habit becomes, feel a slump coming on? Take a long sip of water. It's a simple routine that replaces the old feel a slump, look for sugar loop. Pre-plan your breaks. Instead of letting a slump trigger a break, which usually leads to a hunt for snacks, schedule your breaks in advance. Use the Pomodoro technique or set a timer. When the timer goes off, your break activity is pre-decided. A 5-minute walk, some stretching, or listening to one song. This prevents decision fatigue and removes food from the equation entirely. Zone 3, your digital and social environments. Friction isn't just physical, it's digital and social too. Curate your social feed. Unfollow the dessert blogs. Mute the accounts that post endless food porn. These images are powerful cues that create cravings out of thin air. You're essentially letting advertisers for the sugar industry live rent-free in your head. Replace them with accounts that inspire you in other areas: fitness, learning, travel, whatever you're into. Design your social calendar. Instead of defaulting to, let's grab a coffee and cake, become the person who suggests other options. Let's grab a coffee and go for a walk. Let's try that new bouldering place. Let's check out that museum exhibit. By being proactive, you shift the focus of your social interactions from consumption to connection and activity. Success in this journey isn't for the person with the most self-discipline. It's for the person who is the smartest architect. By taking an afternoon to intentionally design your environment, you are doing the hard work once, so that you don't have to do the hard work of resisting temptation every single day. You are making success the inevitable outcome.
Chapter 7. The What Do I Even Eat Now Blueprint. Simple, delicious meals and snacks that will make you forget all about sugar. All right, let's address the elephant in the room. It's the single most common question I get when I talk about this experiment, and it usually comes with a slightly panicked look in the eyes. But what do you actually eat? It's a fair question. We've spent our whole lives with sugar as a central character in our food story. Removing it can feel like you've been given a script with all the main characters' lines blacked out. There's a genuine fear that life is about to become a monotonous culinary wasteland, a joyless parade of steamed chicken and limped broccoli. Let me put that fear to rest right now. This chapter is your new script. And spoiler alert, the food is awesome. The secret isn't to find sugar-free versions of your old food. It's to discover a new, far more satisfying way of eating. This isn't about restriction. It's about an upgrade. We're not going to give you a rigid, boring meal plan. That's not how we do things. Instead, I'm going to give you a simple, flexible blueprint. A system for building delicious, satisfying meals that will give you stable energy
and make you forget you ever broke up with sugar in the first place. The blueprint, the PFF power plate. Remember our mantra from Chapter 3? Protein, fat, and fiber, PFF. This isn't just a catchy acronym, it's the fundamental principle of our new eating system. From now on, every time you build a plate of food, your goal is to have a solid source of all three. Protein is for rebuilding and satiety. It tells your brain, we're good here, no need to panic and send out a craving signal. Healthy fat is for long-term, slow-release energy and hormone production. It's the log on the fire that burns steadily for hours. Fiber, mostly from vegetables, is for fullness and gut health. It slows down digestion, ensuring a gentle release of energy instead of a frantic spike and crash. A meal built on the PFF principle is the kryptonite to the sugar crash. It's the architectural blueprint for a plate of food that fuels focus, not fog. Let's see what this looks like in practice. Breakfast, your launchpad for a focused morning. For most of my life, my breakfasts were productivity sabotage. Cereal, toast with jam, a glass of orange juice. It was basically a bowl of dessert that guaranteed a 10 a.m. energy slump. The goal of a good breakfast is to set your blood sugar on a stable, gentle trajectory for the day. My go-to options, the under 5 minutes menu. The scramble, 2 or 3 eggs, protein fat, scrambled with a huge handful of spinach and a sprinkle of cheese. Serve with a side of avocado, fat fiber. This is the gold standard. It keeps me full and focused for a solid 4 hours. The power smoothie. This requires a bit of care, as most smoothies are sugar bombs. The key is to follow the PFF formula. Base, unsweetened almond milk or water. Protein, a scoop of unflavored, unsweetened protein powder. Fat, a tablespoon of almond butter or half of an avocado. Fiber, a big handful of kale or spinach, you won't taste it, I promise, and a small handful of low-sugar fruit, like blueberries or raspberries. The Greek yogurt bowl, full-fat Greek yogurt topped with a handful of nuts or seeds, fat fiber, and a few berries. The key is full fat. It's more satisfying and often has less added sugar than the low-fat versions. Lunch, the slump-proofing system. The goal of lunch is simple, to get you through the afternoon without even thinking about a nap. The enemy here is the carb-heavy, beige-colored lunch. The giant sandwich, the bowl of pasta, the pizza slice. My go-to options, the efficiency menu. The big-ass salad, BAS. This is my default. It's not the sad little side salad. It's a huge, hearty, satisfying meal. The formula is simple. Base, a mountain of leafy greens, rocket, spinach, lettuce. Protein, the star of the show. Leftover chicken from last night's dinner, a can of tuna, some hard-boiled eggs or lentils. Fat, a generous drizzle of extra virgin olive oil and vinegar, some avocado, or a sprinkle of feta cheese. Extras, pile on the fibrous veggies, cucumbers, peppers, tomatoes, onions. The leftovers remix. This is the ultimate productivity hack. When you cook dinner, always cook more than you need. Your future self will thank you. Leftover chili, curry, or roasted vegetables with a protein source is a perfect zero-effort lunch. Snacks, the strategic energy bridge. Snacks are not treats. They are strategic tools to bridge the gap between meals and prevent you from getting so hungry that you make bad decisions. Your snack pack should be PFF approved and ready to go. My go-to options, the emergency stash. A handful of almonds or walnuts. An apple with a thick spread of peanut butter. A hard-boiled egg. Batch cook them at the start of the week. Olives and a few cubes of cheese. A small pot of full-fat Greek yogurt. A final note on flavor. Your taste buds are waking up. For years, your palate has been pummeled into submission by dominant sweetness. When you remove that dominant flavor, something amazing happens. You start to taste everything else. The subtle sweetness of roasted carrots, the rich umami of mushrooms, the the fresh zing of lemon juice. These flavors have been there all along, but they were being drowned out. This is your chance to become an explorer. Embrace the flavor trinity: salt, fat, and acid. These are the pillars of good cooking. A pinch of good sea salt, a drizzle of quality olive oil, and a squeeze of lemon or vinegar can transform a simple plate of vegetables from bland to brilliant. Herbs and spices are your friends. Stock your cupboards. Smoked paprika, cumin, garlic powder, chili flakes, dried oregano. These are zero-sugar, high-impact tools to make your food genuinely exciting. Forget about what you're giving up. With this system, you'll be too busy enjoying what you're eating to even notice.
Chapter 8. The Unexpected Side Effects: Better Skin, Deeper Sleep, and a Supercharged Brain. Subtitle: The Amazing Benefits That Have Nothing to Do with Your Weight. All right, this is the really exciting part. Let's be honest, most people who consider cutting out sugar, even for a short time, have a primary motive that's usually tied to a number on a scale. That's a perfectly fine reason to start, but it's almost never the reason they stay. I started this whole thing as a productivity experiment. I was chasing focus, but what I discovered was a whole suite of secret rewards, unexpected side effects that were so profoundly life-changing that the initial goal almost became secondary. Think of it like playing a video game. You start a quest to get a specific item, but along the way, you stumble upon a hidden treasure chest filled with legendary gear you didn't even know existed. These benefits are that legendary gear. Many people start this journey to lose something, weight, but they stick with it because of everything they gain. In this chapter, we're going to explore that treasure chest. This is the real why. This is the inspiration that will make the whole thing feel less like a challenge and more like a cheat code for a better life. Unexpected reward number 1: your brain in high definition. Before this experiment, I thought I knew what focused felt like. I was a doctor, I had passed my exams, I was building a business, I was a functioning, productive human. But I was operating in standard definition. I had accepted brain fog as a normal part of life. I thought it was normal to feel like my brain was wading through treacle after lunch. I didn't realize there was a better state available. About 10 days into my experiment, the fog started to lift. It wasn't a sudden lightning bolt. It was more like a slow, steady sunrise. I remember sitting down to write a script one afternoon, and the words just flowed. There was no internal friction, no mental static. The thoughts were clear, the connections were quick. It felt like someone had upgraded my brain's hardware overnight. The science, in simple terms: as we know from Chapter 1, a sugary diet puts your brain on a violent energy roller coaster. When your brain is constantly lurching between a sugar high and a hypoglycemic crash, it can't perform at its best. By removing sugar, you provide your brain with a stable, premium-grade fuel supply from healthy fats and protein. The result is consistent, all-day energy, which translates to a state of calm, clear focus. It's not a superpower. It's just your brain's factory setting, which you're finally restoring. Unexpected reward number 2: the emotional volume nog. I used to get hangry a lot. If a meeting ran late or I missed a meal, I would become irritable, snappy, and generally unpleasant to be around. I thought it was just a personality quirk. Turns out, it was a symptom. One of the most surprising benefits I noticed was a profound sense of emotional stability. The little things that used to bother me just didn't anymore. A stressful email would land in my inbox, and instead of a knee-jerk, anxious reaction, my brain would just calmly assess it and move on. It was like someone had turned down the volume knob on my daily anxiety. The science, in simple terms: the blood sugar roller coaster doesn't just affect your energy, it messes with your hormones. A sugar crash can trigger the release of stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, as your body panics to raise your blood sugar. This leaves you feeling anxious, irritable, and on edge. By keeping your blood sugar stable, you keep these stress hormones in check.
You become less reactive and more resilient. Unexpected reward number 3, the ultimate sleep hack. For years, I used a sleep tracker and my data was consistently okay. I'd often wake up around 3 a.m. for no reason, and even after a full 8 hours, I'd sometimes feel groggy. I just assumed that was my baseline. Within 2 weeks of cutting out sugar, my sleep score started to skyrocket. I was sleeping through the night every night. The tracker showed a measurable increase in my deep sleep and REM sleep, the most restorative phases of the sleep cycle. I was waking up before my alarm, feeling genuinely refreshed and ready to go. The science, in simple terms, remember those stress hormones, cortisol and adrenaline? If you have a blood sugar crash in the middle of the night, which is common after a sugary dessert or a carb-heavy dinner, your body will release them to correct it. This hormonal surge is like a biological alarm clock, jolting you awake. By ending your day with a blood sugar stabilizing meal, you allow your body to sleep through the night without these hormonal emergencies. Unexpected reward number 4, the real-life Instagram filter. This one was a complete surprise. I'd always had fairly unremarkable skin, with the odd breakout and a general lack of glow. About a month in, I looked in the mirror one morning and noticed something was different. My skin looked clearer, smoother, and less inflamed. It sounds like a cliché from a beauty magazine, but it was undeniably real. The science, in simple terms, sugar is a highly inflammatory substance. This systemic inflammation can show up on your skin as acne, redness, and puffiness. Furthermore, a process called glycation occurs when excess sugar in your bloodstream attaches to proteins like collagen and elastin, the very things that keep your skin firm and youthful, making them brittle and weak. Cutting out sugar reduces inflammation from the inside out and protects your skin's vital support structures. These aren't just minor perks. This is a fundamental upgrade to your entire experience of life. You're not just avoiding sugar. You're actively investing in a sharper brain, a calmer mind, deeper rest, and better health. So as you continue on your own N=1 experiment, I encourage you to look beyond the scale. Start tracking other data points. How is your focus on a scale of 1 to 10? How is your mood? How did you sleep? This is the data that will truly show you the power of this change. This is the treasure that will keep you on the quest long after your initial motivation has faded.
Chapter 9. The inevitable slip-up and why it's actually a good thing. How to fall off the wagon, have a laugh, and get right back on. All right, let's get something straight. You're going to eat a piece of cake at some point. It might be a donut. It might be your friend's homemade tiramisu. It might be a spoonful or 7 of Nutella straight from the jar at 11 p.m. It is going to happen, and that is completely, unequivocally, 100% okay. Consider this chapter your official, doctor-signed permission slip to be human. I remember my first major slip-up. I was about 6 weeks into my experiment and feeling pretty invincible. My energy was great, my focus was sharp. I was basically a productivity superhero. I was at a wedding, and I had successfully navigated the canapés and the main course using all the strategies from our social survival guide. I was feeling smug. And then they brought out the dessert. It was a sticky toffee pudding with extra sauce and a scoop of vanilla bean ice cream melting slowly on top. My carefully constructed system of logic and reason just evaporated. My internal monologue went from, I am a beacon of health and discipline, to pudding in about 0.7 seconds, and I ate it. Every last glorious sugar coma-inducing bite. The immediate aftermath was a familiar wave of guilt. Well, that's it, my brain announced. You failed. 6 weeks of effort down the drain. You might as well have a second one, and maybe some of that wedding cake too. The days are right off. This, my friends, is the most
dangerous moment in any habit change journey. It's not the slip up itself. It's the catastrophic, all or nothing thinking that follows. It's the perfectionist trap that tells us if we can't do it perfectly, we shouldn't do it at all. It's the voice that turns a single data point into a definitive narrative of failure, and it's complete nonsense. The reframe. From failure to fascinating data. In the world of science and startups, there's no such thing as a failed experiment. There is only data. If you test a hypothesis and it doesn't work, you haven't failed, you've just learned a valuable piece of information that will inform your next attempt. We need to apply this exact same mindset to our health. Your slip-up was not a failure. It was a data point. It was your N=1 experiment generating a crucial piece of feedback about your current system. And data, as any good nerd knows, is a gift. It allows us to debug our system, to iterate, and to improve. So instead of wallowing in guilt, we're going to get curious. We're going to put on our lab coats, look at the data objectively, and run a post-slip-up debrief. Your 3-step post-slip-up debrief. The next time you find yourself on the other side of an unplanned sugary treat, don't beat yourself up. Instead, take 5 minutes and ask yourself these 3 simple, non-judgmental questions. Step 1. Identify the cue. What was the trigger? Let's go back to the habit loop. What was the exact trigger that led to the action? Get specific. Was it a time? Was it a place? Was it an emotion? Were other people involved? Was it a lack of preparation? I was starving and hadn't eaten for hours. For my sticky toffee pudding incident, the cues were clear. A celebratory emotion, a social setting, and a very specific, visually appealing trigger. Step 2. Acknowledge the why. What was I actually seeking? Beneath every craving is a deeper need. What was your brain really looking for? Was it comfort? I had a stressful day and wanted to feel better. Was it a reward? I finished a big project and I felt I deserved it. Was it connection? Everyone else was having one and I wanted to be part of the moment. Was it energy? I was genuinely exhausted and my brain wanted a quick fix. In my case, the why was a mix of reward and connection. I wanted to participate fully in the celebration. Step 3. Strategize for next time. What's one small tweak I can make to my system? Based on your answers, what's one tiny thing you could do differently next time you face the same cue? This isn't about vowing to have more willpower. It's about being a better architect. If the cue was stress, could you pre-plan a 5-minute walk instead? If the cue was being unprepared, could you add an emergency snack pack to your bag? See Chapter 6. If it was social pressure, could you practice one of the scripts from our social survival guide? My debrief led to a new rule. At celebratory events, I would pre-decide to have a designated indulgence, either one amazing drink, one appetizer, or one dessert, not all 3. This gave me a plan and a sense of control, while still allowing me to participate. The immediate next step, the 1-meal reset. The debrief is for learning, but what do you do in the immediate aftermath? The rule is beautifully simple. Your very next meal is a PFF power plate. That's it. You don't skip it to make up for the calories. You don't do a punishing workout. You don't spiral into a week-long binge. You simply and calmly return to the system. You have a delicious, satisfying meal of protein, fat, and fiber, and you move on with your life. Think of it like learning to play the guitar. If you play a wrong chord in the middle of a song, you don't throw the guitar on the floor and declare you'll never play again. You just get your fingers in the right place and play the next chord correctly. It's the same thing here. The goal of this journey isn't to achieve a perfect, unbroken streak of sugar-free days. That's a fragile system destined to break. The goal is to build a resilient one, a system where you can slip, laugh about it, learn from the data, and get right back on track, stronger and smarter than before. Progress, not perfection. That's the only game we're playing.
Chapter 10. The Sweetness of Freedom. Redefining your relationship with food and pleasure. Finding joy and satisfaction in a life beyond sugar. All right, we've made it. We've unmasked the thief, debugged our brain's faulty software, engineered our environments, and learned how to navigate the social world. We've covered the what and the how. But this final chapter is about the why. It's about the ultimate prize, the real endgame of this entire experiment. And it's a prize far greater than a number on a scale or a new level of productivity. It's about freedom. For years, without even realizing it, I was living in a kind of prison. The bars were made of cravings, the guards were my own habit loops, and the warden was the food industry. My days were dictated by the roller coaster of sugar highs and lows. My mental energy was constantly being drained by an internal debate. Should I eat the cookie? I shouldn't. But I want to. Just one. Okay, I'll be good tomorrow. It was exhausting. What I didn't know was that on the other side of this experiment lay a profound sense of liberty. This isn't about the freedom from dessert. It's about a much deeper freedom to live your life on your own terms. Let's break down what this freedom actually looks and feels like. Freedom number 1, freedom from the tyranny of cravings. Remember Dave, the dopamine puppy from chapter 2? For most of my life, Dave was in charge. His barking, his cravings, dictated my actions. When he barked, I would fetch the treat. It felt like a choice, but it was a compulsion. The most profound shift that happens on this journey is that the barking stops. Not completely, and not overnight, but it fades from a frantic, desperate command into a quiet, distant suggestion that you can easily ignore. You get to a point where you can walk past a bakery, smell the warm bread and sweet pastries, and simply think, that smells nice, and then carry on with your day. The smell is no longer a cue that triggers an irresistible automatic routine. This is true food freedom. It's the freedom to make a conscious choice, not a compulsive one. It's like finally deleting that one distracting social media app from your phone. You don't have to spend all day resisting the urge to open it because the urge is no longer there. You've reclaimed your attention. You are in the driver's seat. Freedom number 2, freedom from the mental overhead of guilt. Think for a moment about how much mental bandwidth you've dedicated to food-related guilt over your lifetime. The energy spent regretting the cake, bargaining with yourself over the chocolate, planning your next detox to make up for the weekend. It's a colossal waste of our most precious resource, our cognitive energy. When you stop eating the foods that make you feel bad, you get to stop feeling bad about the foods you eat. The cycle is broken. The mental chatter disappears. That cognitive space is now freed up for more important things: solving an interesting problem at work, being present with your family, learning a new skill, planning your next big project. This isn't just a health upgrade, it's a massive productivity upgrade. You are reclaiming the mental real estate that guilt and negotiation used to occupy, and you can now reinvest it into building a life you love. The unexpected sensory upgrade. Your palate resets. Here's something that sounds like hyperbole, but is absolutely true. Food will become more delicious. For years, our taste buds have been subjected to a relentless barrage of hypersweetness. It's like listening to music with the volume turned up to 11 all the time. You become numb to the nuances. All you can register is the noise. When you remove that noise, your palate resets. It's a process called sensory adaptation. Your taste buds, no longer desensitized, wake up. I remember the first time I noticed this. I was eating a bowl of plain raspberries, and it was like I was tasting them for the first time. There was an explosion of complex flavor, a little tart, a little floral, and a wave of intense, natural sweetness I had never fully appreciated before. A roasted sweet potato will taste like candy. A simple bell pepper will have a shocking sweetness. You don't lose sweetness in your life.
You gain the ability to find it everywhere in its most natural and satisfying forms. You are not giving up pleasure. You are upgrading your ability to experience it.
Conclusion: your experiment of one. All right, we've covered a lot of ground. We started with my accidental experiment, a simple 30-day challenge that I thought would be a small productivity hack, but ended up fundamentally changing my life. We put on our detective hats and unmasked sugar as the sneaky thief, quietly stealing our energy and focus. We had a laugh about the ridiculous lies we tell ourselves, and learned that our cravings aren't a moral failing, but a simple design flaw in our brain's software, a bug that, once understood, can be fixed. We've built a complete toolkit, a system for a gentle uncoupling, a guide to navigating the social world without being that person, and a blueprint for engineering our environments for effortless success. We've even got a plan for the inevitable slip-up, reframing it not as a failure, but as a valuable data point. I've shared my story, the science, and the practical, actionable strategies that have worked for me and for countless others who have tried this. But here's the thing. At the end of the day, my story is just that, my story. It's a single data point. The studies and the science are powerful, but they are still, to some extent, abstractions. Now it's your turn. This book was never intended to be a set of rigid commandments handed down from on high. It was always meant to be a lab manual, a guide to help you set up and run the single most important experiment you will ever conduct, your own experiment of one, your N=1. There is nothing I can write in these pages that will be as powerful, as convincing, or as motivating as your own direct experience. The feeling of waking up with a clear head after a night of deep sleep is more persuasive than any study I can cite. The experience of having 4 hours of uninterrupted deep focus in the afternoon is more compelling than any anecdote I can share. So I'm not going to ask you to swear off sugar for the rest of your life. That's a daunting, overwhelming, and frankly, unhelpful goal. I'm going to challenge you to something much more interesting. Try it for 30 days. That's it. Treat it like a scientist. Be curious. Be objective. For 30 days, follow the blueprint we've laid out. Engineer your environment. Build your PFF power plates. Use the scripts. And collect the data. Don't just track your weight. Track what really matters. At the end of each day, ask yourself, on a scale of 1 to 10, how was my energy level this afternoon? On a scale of 1 to 10, how was my ability to focus? On a scale of 1 to 10, how was my mood? Jot it down in a notebook or spreadsheet. The data you collect will tell you everything you need to know. After 30 days, you can look at your own personalized evidence and make a fully informed decision. You can decide if the benefits, the clear head, the stable energy, the deeper sleep, the emotional resilience, are worth it. You have absolutely nothing to lose. You can always go back to the way you were eating before. The cake and the biscuits will still be there, I promise. But you might just find that you don't want to. You might discover a new baseline for what it feels like to be truly well, a new standard of focus and energy that you're unwilling to give up. You might just discover a new kind of freedom. I've shared my map. Now the adventure is yours. Welcome to the Unsweetened Life. You're gonna love it here. Your quick read summary of the Unsweetened Life. Introduction: The accidental experiment that changed my life. The author, a doctor and productivity expert, never intended to quit sugar. He loved desserts, but started a 30-day no-sugar challenge purely as a productivity experiment to gain more focus. He was shocked to discover that the benefits went far beyond productivity. He gained stable energy, a better mood, and a surprising sense of calm. This book isn't about miserable dieting. It's the story of how he accidentally found the ultimate tool for upgrading his life and how you can run the same experiment. Chapter 1: The Sneaky Thief in Your Kitchen and Your Brain.
Main takeaway: the afternoon slump, brain fog, and mood swings are not your fault. They are the result of a heist that sugar is performing on your brain. The heist: you eat sugar, which causes a dopamine hit and a blood sugar spike. Your body panics and releases too much insulin, causing a crash. This crash is what causes brain fog, irritability, and an intense craving for more sugar to fix the problem. This creates an endless energy roller coaster that sabotages your day. Chapter 2: I'm not addicted, and other hilarious lies we tell ourselves. Main takeaway: your inability to resist sugar is not a lack of willpower, it's a biological design flaw. The science: your brain is wired with an ancient survival instinct to seek out quick energy, sugar. This creates a powerful cue, routine, reward habit loop that is difficult to break with discipline alone. Stop feeling guilty about cravings. The problem isn't your character, it's a faulty system in your brain, and systems can be redesigned. Chapter 3: The Gentle Uncoupling, a not-so-scary guide to your first 2 weeks. Main takeaway: forget a painful detox. This is a simple 2-week experiment with 2 rules. Rule 1: eliminate the obvious suspects: soda, sweets, pastries, sugary cereals. Rule 2: focus every meal on PFF, protein, fat, and fiber. This is your secret weapon to stay full and kill cravings. What to expect? Days 1 through 3 can be rough: headaches, grumpiness. By days 4 through 7, the fog will lift. By week 2, you'll experience the magic of stable energy and focus. Chapter 4: Becoming a Sugar Detective, How to Spot the Hidden Culprits. Main takeaway: sugar is a master of disguise, hiding in healthy foods like bread, pasta sauce, and low-fat yogurt. You must become a detective to spot it. The Detective's Toolkit: read the ingredients. If sugar or its many aliases, like anything ending in ose, syrup, or cane juice, is in the first 3 ingredients, put it back. Use the teaspoon rule. On the nutrition label, find sugars. 4 grams of sugar equals 1 teaspoon. This will help you visualize the shocking amount of sugar you're actually eating. Chapter 5: The Social Survival Guide, How to Eat Out, Party, and Not Be That Person. Main takeaway: you can have a social life without being awkward or caving to pressure by having a simple system. Pre-game strategy: prepare before you go. Eat a healthy snack beforehand so you're not starving, scan the menu online, or offer to bring a healthy dish to a party. In-game scripts: when offered something, use the polite no thank you sandwich. 1. Compliment it. That looks amazing. 2. Briefly decline. I'll have to pass, thanks. 3. Immediately redirect. But tell me about... Chapter 6: Engineering your environment for effortless success. Main takeaway: willpower is a finite resource. Don't rely on it. Instead, design your environment so that healthy choices are the easiest choices. The golden rule: add friction to bad habits, like hide junk food in an inconvenient place, and remove friction for good habits, like keep a bowl of fruit on the counter and pre-chopped veggies in the fridge. This applies to your kitchen, your workspace, and even your social media feed. Chapter 7: The What Do I Even Eat Now? Blueprint. Main takeaway: you won't eat boring food, you'll eat delicious, satisfying meals based on one simple principle: the PFF Power Plate. The blueprint: ensure every meal has a solid source of protein, fat, and fiber. This combination keeps your blood sugar stable for hours, providing steady energy and focus. The chapter provides simple, fast ideas for breakfast, lunch, and snacks that follow this rule. Chapter 8: The Unexpected Side Effects: Better skin, deeper sleep, and a supercharged brain. Main takeaway: people start this journey for weight loss, but they stay for the incredible benefits they never expected. The secret rewards is the real motivation. You will likely experience a high-definition brain without brain fog, a stable mood with less anxiety and irritability, deeper, more restorative sleep, and clearer, healthier skin. Chapter 9: The Inevitable Slip-Up, and Why It's Actually a Good Thing. Main takeaway: you will slip up. It's not a failure. It's a data point.
The goal is progress, not perfection. The system. When you slip up, run a post-slip-up debrief. Get curious, not guilty. Ask yourself, what was the trigger? What was I really seeking? What can I do differently next time? Then use the one meal reset. Simply make your very next meal a healthy PFF plate and move on. No guilt allowed. Chapter 10. The Sweetness of Freedom. Redefining your relationship with food and pleasure. Main takeaway. The ultimate goal of this journey is freedom. The 3 freedoms. You gain freedom from cravings, they fade into quiet whispers, freedom from food guilt, freeing up immense mental energy, and freedom of taste. Your palate resets and you discover the amazing natural sweetness in whole foods. You redefine the sweet life as one filled with energy and clarity, not sugar. Conclusion. Your experiment of one. The book is not a rule book, it's a lab manual. Don't just take the author's word for it. The final challenge is for you to run your own N=1 experiment for 30 days. Track your own energy, focus, and mood. The personal data you collect will be more powerful and convincing than anything you've read. You have nothing to lose, and a whole new level of life to gain.